I've noticed lately in the news that there have been several complaints about the TSA regulations. TSA regulations has mandated that airports have body scanners, and they are full body scanners. That way, the security can see everything except for the face. As you go through the body scanner, there are people in another room who are watching you as you go through. You cannot see them. You cannot see them. People are very upset about that. People are concerned about the side effects of using the scanners, as far as cancer and those type of issues. Not all of the airports across the nation have them yet, but people are wondering what is going on with the strict regulations. And it would be because of a passenger who flew from Yemen to Chicago was caught with a printer, and then inside of the printer, the ink cartridge in there was a bomb hidden in there. So of course, yes, the TSA regulations are more stern than they have ever been. And they want to catch people to make sure that they're not hiding bombs on their bodies and so forth. Anyone who goes through the body scanner who sets it off must be patted down. People are really not excited about being groped. No one wants to be groped. A woman by the name of Kathy Boise, she's from North Carolina. She works for U.S. Airways. As a hostess, she's had breast cancer, and she has had a breast removed. So, of course, she's concerned about going through the body scanners because she does not want to have to deal with cancer again. And typically she goes through the pat-down, and the security guard will ask her, "What is that thing that I feel in your chest?" And she'll say, "That is my artificial breast." And she has to take it out and show the security guard. Can you believe that? And of course, when this woman had that experience, she took down the employee's name. She was mortified. She was mortified about the fact that she would have to take her artificial breast out to go through. Many women and men in the United States have prosthetic breasts, have prosthetic limbs. Many people have had hip replacement surgeries, knee replacement surgeries. Many people have pacemakers, and that will set that scanner off. And they have to go through and get patted down. And people are, that's just overboard and disgusting. Miss Mayer, 20 years ago, had her breast removed. And of course she knows every time she goes to the airport, she sets off the scanner. And it's always a shock when she has to get patted down. She was patted down at a Washington, D.C. airport here in the United States. And of course, in the United States, there are 3 million women with breast prosthetic breasts. And she was so angry. People were looking at her, and of course they're intrigued. They're wondering what's going on. How can you imagine having to take your artificial breast out and putting it in the box to go through the scanner? I would be infuriated. There was another woman from Rhode Island. Her name was Marlene McCarthy. She also went through the body scanner, and of course she set it off. And she was told in front of all of the people, you're going to have to take that out. When security felt it. And of course, she tried to explain that it was a prosthetic breast. So the security person grabbed a hold of it, moved it around to make sure it was what she said it was. Can you imagine how humiliating? I would not be able to deal with that. I would take it out, and I would put it in the box, and it would go through the scanner on its own. I would not go through that humiliating experience. I would not want anybody touching me. That would really upset me. I don't know what they're thinking. It's just, crazy. In Modesto, California, there was a 66-year-old person who had a pacemaker, who is a frequent flyer for business. This person was felt up not only their chest area, but also in their pants, if you can imagine. I would have been mortified. And of course, the response to this person was, well, you're lucky that you're even able to come in and fly. That's like, to me, that's like saying, okay, well, if you're in a wheelchair, you have a choice. You can either stay home or you can come up the wheelchair. That is an infringement on their rights. You know, that person has a disability. The government has no right to manhandle or take advantage of someone in that manner. It's disgusting. And there was another woman from Missouri, Gail Mengele. She's from Blue Springs, Missouri. And 5 years ago, she had had a hip replacement surgery. And so she was used to setting off the body scanner at the airport because of the metal in her hip. And she would go through the pat down. And she said that she was flying last week, D.C. airport. They have a new scanner. She had never gone through that scanner. But she did go through it this time, and she was happy that she did not set it off. Her physician assured her that it would not cause cancer. But once she arrived in New Orleans, I'm not sure if she was coming to or from New Orleans, the staff there at the airport had not been trained on the full body scanner, and she had a horrible time. They felt her up from top to bottom, and it was very uncomfortable. I mean, it's horrible. In Nashville, Tennessee, there was a person who had written an email talking about his experience. He had a prosthetic leg. He said that he felt like he had been, and I quote, raped by the airport. They forced me to take off my prosthetic legs, and they sent them through the scanner. Then they felt me up to make sure I didn't have a bomb on my body. In his words, he felt that that should be illegal. And also in Texas, a gentleman by the name of Thomas Sawyer, 61-year-old gentleman. He was from Michigan. He had had bladder cancer. He was a mayor there, I'm sorry. And he had a colostomy bag. And on November 7th, he flew to Orlando, Florida for a wedding. And when he went through the scanner, of course he was told, no, you're not allowed to go through that scanner. You are going to have to go elsewhere. Because he could not take the colostomy bag off, urine would go everywhere. And of course, you know that's hidden underneath his clothing. And it's clamped and it's sealed. But if that were to come apart, then urine would spill all over. So he went through the scanner, and of course they asked what he had, and they made him come over here. You know, they asked him to come over and check it, and he told them, please, this is private. And you know, of course there's no privacy with the TSA agents. He did convince them to go into the office, however, and use some privacy. You know, the bag was pretty large, so he had to take his belt off, and he went into the office. He undid himself and showed them. He was having difficulty trying to, you know, explain, and so they patted him down. And they let him go into the office, and they checked him out. And they saw that he had definitely had a bag. And then they used their hands to check him out. And, you know, he told them to be careful. Once you get down there next to the bag, you're liable to undo it, and urine will go everywhere. They were careless, and they went ahead and they did it anyway. And, of course, that bag did come open, and urine did go everywhere. The gentleman was wet. And I'm sure he was mortified walking through the airport, sticky and wet with urine, waiting to fly, so that he could so he could get into the airplane and then get into the restroom and clean up. the TSA regulation people, they don't care about those who have disabilities, who have health issues. It's horrible. So once the wedding was over, flew back to Orlando, Florida, and there were no more issues. And he certainly was going to fill out a complaint with the TSA, with the state representatives, with the president of the airlines, and so forth. And TSA, after they had received the complaint he had filed, one moment, I'm going to break here and start the second recording.